This image just sold for $69 million. This is not a representation of the image, but byte for byte, this exact image that I copy pasted from their website was sold for $69 million. How is this possible? Was the person who spent that money crazy? Maybe, maybe not. But in this video, we're gonna go over exactly how this JPEG image was actually able to be sold for $69 million by talking about NFTs. NFTs stand for Non-Fungible Tokens. Essentially, they're digital certificates that tell you who owns a specific digital asset. And the key component that makes them useful is that they're not duplicable. This means that you can't just copy an NFT ownership certificate to someone else. These NFTs are based on smart contracts, which as of now run mostly on the Ethereum network. And you can actually go and build your own NFT right now with a bit of code from GitHub. I'll even have it linked in the description below if you want to try it out. NFTs let you buy and sell digital assets like GIFs, JPEG images, videos, and even tweets. You purchased an NFT. Does this mean that you can take that digital asset off the internet and keep it to yourself, showcase it in a smart frame in your giant mansion? Well, not really. It depends. The person selling the NFT also controls what kind of rights they are selling with the NFT. This means that you can purchase an NFT and not actually buy the copyright or licensing to the NFT itself, although you can design the NFT to actually sell those rights as well. The proof of ownership of an NFT is stored in a blockchain. Right now, the ownership rights to most NFTs are actually run through the Ethereum network using smart contracts. This makes forging an NFT difficult to almost impossible. When you have a blockchain, many different computers from around the world are verifying the ownership rights and the transfers of ownerships on that blockchain. This means that if you buy a legitimate NFT on the blockchain, everyone is going to know that you are the owner of that NFT. And when you have the NFT, you can now claim ownership of that digital asset, like the image that I showed you at the beginning of the video. You can then go on to sell the NFT at a later date for a profit if you so choose. Let's say I create a digital image, this smiley face, for example, and I think it's so beautiful, so moving, I want to create an NFT to sell this image, and it sells for 50 cents. This is the original image, and the NFT is associated with this original image. If I send this image to someone else, they are not going to have ownership of this original image because the NFT gives the person who bought it the rights to this image, and their ownership is verifiably stored on the blockchain for everyone to see. Someone else down the line can't come and claim ownership of that image because the NFT is actually showing the proof of ownership of that image through the blockchain, and this is open and verifiable by almost anyone. This makes digital assets a valuable tool for digital content creators. You can now sell partial or full rights to your digital assets through the NFTs, and because the NFTs gives verifiable ownership of that item to the person, the value of that sold work is now higher. If you were a freelance digital artist before and you created a piece of digital work, the person buying that digital work didn't have any guarantees of ownership, because as soon as that item was on the internet, it can spread and disseminate to multiple different places. That can still happen with NFTs. It's just that the control of that asset gets moved from one person to the other. You're not just selling a copy of the image, you're selling the original image itself. If that person chooses to sell the NFT again, and suddenly you become really popular, and the piece that you sold for $10 now sells for $10,000, you can get a royalty back every time the NFT and the digital asset you created gets resold. This way the artist doesn't get left behind. This image proves that everyone can now own art, and the form that art takes is different now than before. Whereas if you wanted to own a painting before, you would want to own the physical painting, and only a select few people would even have access to buying that painting. Now with the introduction of NFTs, any artist, digital or otherwise, is able to sell their art and their creations on the internet, and any person with access to the internet is able to buy those items. All of this is verified and governed through a blockchain network, which is decentralized and not controlled by any individual entity. This makes the whole process more open and accessible for everyone. Given all of these benefits, there's definitely some issues that NFTs won't resolve. First, there's the issue of the digital assets being out in the open themselves. If I'm buying a digital asset, such as an image, and I'm buying full rights to that image, it's going to be almost impossible to control where that image pops up on the internet if it's already out there. It's the same with a tweet, GIF, or video. If I create a copy of this asset, it is a perfect copy of the original. Byte for byte, it's going to be the exact same. So how does this affect my ownership of that digital asset if a copy is identical and indistinguishable from the original? On the blockchain, the proof of ownership is stored. This means that even if I create 100 million copies of this piece of work, I can verify the ownership of that piece of work on the blockchain itself, whether that person has licensing rights to this image or not. If they own the NFT, they own the work to some degree. This form of ownership challenges our traditional notions of what it means to own something, whether it's something physical or digital. When I buy a software, I have it on my computer. When I buy a piece of art, I bring it home and it's only in my home. These digital assets are creating a sort of paradigm shift in what it means to own something. And I think in some form or other, NFTs are actually going to challenge the way we think about ownership of ideas, of digital assets, and eventually of physical assets too. And that's how you get an image that can be sold for $69 million when I can copy it and put it on my video.